Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Tigers and Nichols tonight from the box. We're talking about it. NFL draft quickly approaching. We're talking about that a little bit as well. Glenn West going to join us from Go 247, talk some spring game, talk some LSU baseball with Glenn. Sharif Ishak in hour two, Saucon Saints draft. Best college football players of all time, ranked by 247 Sports. We'll get to that in the second hour as well. But as I mentioned, we're going to start with LSU and Nichols tonight at the box. Nichols gets the rare double dip in the box. Nichols came to Baton Rouge, got run ruled a few weeks back, and they will be back in the box tonight for a 6:30 first pitch. I just kind of wanted to toss out some things that I'll be looking for in this game tonight. We understand where LSU is at this point in the schedule. They got a top 5 RPI. They're 12-5 in league play, leading the West. They're number 1 in every poll. I mean, the number 1 seed in everybody's projections this week, and that's where LSU is sitting. And the 3 hours tonight likely aren't going to make much difference in LSU's casted lot in postseason play. But it is another chance to go out there and play. And so there are some things I want to see. And, of course, when I say it's a chance to go out there and play, what do I want to see? The first thing I want to see is a couple guys not go out there and play. LSU does not need Gavin Dugas and Tommy White to go play baseball tonight. The doctors may clear them. They may not. They may feel good. They may not. I don't know. But those guys are banged up. Tommy White came out of the game on Sunday, and Gavin Dugas does not look like himself at the plate. We know that he dove back in the Kentucky weekend, had the shoulder deal, was writhing in pain on the ground. Just sit. Let Ben Napolt go out there. Let Jack Merrifield go out there. Let Joe Bear play third base. Just sit. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I would strongly suggest that Dugas will probably play because he played all weekend. So he'll probably play. But I wouldn't. Just get some rest. So the guys that are going to play, I'd like to see a couple of things. One, it's the evergreen topic. Every single Tuesday we show up and chat about this. What's Thatcher Hurd going to do? I'd like to see him not walk anybody. Might be 2 innings, might be 3 innings, might be 1 inning, might be 2/3 of an inning. I don't know how long he's going to pitch. If he pitches tonight, I'm assuming he will. Because Jace talked about yesterday in his media session saying they're treating these midweek games like elimination games in a regional, like on Monday. When your staff's pretty depleted, you got to get through them some kind of way with Hurd and money. And you kind of navigate it on the back end. However much Thatcher Hurd pitches, just don't walk anybody. His velocity's fine. It's 93, 95. Breaking ball, not missing a ton of bats. That hasn't been executed the way that it should be. But just don't walk anybody. And if we're sticking on the pitching side of things, then I'd love to see Nate Ackenhausen back out there. We saw him briefly over the weekend. By all accounts, feels okay. Let's see him back out there for a little bit more. Because increasingly, my thoughts on this LSU pitching staff are less about, okay, here's the ace, here's the number 2 starter, here's the number 3 starter, this is the closer, who's the couple guys in the middle. That's not really how I analyze this staff anymore. I analyze this staff as, okay, I'm counting on Skeens for 7 in game 1. I need everybody else to get me some outs on the weekend. Like, rolls, whatever. Ty Floyd, probably in my opinion, just as likely to go 3 1/3 as he is 8. He gave you 8 1/3 over the weekend. Sometimes he gives you 3 1/3. Christian Little, probably not giving you 7. But what outs can you get? And if I'm playing a game where I got to find guys to get outs, I need as many guys as I can get. And Ackenhausen is one of those. So I'd like to see him back on the mound in the game tonight. Defensively, catch the ball, no errors. Thompson throws up. Don't need Jared Jones flailing around over there at first base, trying to pick balls. You can play a clean game against Nichols on a Tuesday. I'd love to see him go out there and play clean. And then the last thing, and this won't be for me because I'm not going to go to the game tonight. I got to go to Pluckers for Sports Trivia, which you should too. But for those that will go to the game, and certainly the beat writers or the writers are there covering the game, would love to see Paxton Kling's batting practice. So what does he look like? Because I think that's a guy who's going to have to factor in here in the next 10 days. Maybe not tonight. Maybe not Bama, but maybe. And then, okay, how's the following week against Auburn? It feels like we're getting closer to that. So that's not something you'll see in the game, but I'll be checking kind of for updates on how Paxton Kling looks in his batting practice. Nichols is playing pretty well this year. The Colonels are leading the Southland Conference. They got a sweep over a bad Houston Christian team over the weekend, but Zane Washington comes in as the conference of the Sun Belt Conference USA. Nope, as the Southland hitter of the week. His OPS is over 1,000, but this Nichols team is not very potent with the bats. They don't hit a lot of home runs. They don't have gaudy stats statistically with their batting averages outside of Zane Washington. It's a team that LSU should handle. They handled really easily a few weeks ago, and I just feel like they should take care of their business in the game tonight. I am curious, and this is what we'll lead with tomorrow, barring some sort of unforeseen event that goes on in the game tonight. Basically, if Jay says he's treating it like a regional elimination game on a Monday, well, what does that look like now that we kind of know? I'll go back and look at how they've chopped them up previously, and it does include Hurd, and it does include Money. Often includes Cooper. And we'll see who else they can get in there. I don't know what Javen Coleman's schedule now looks like. Really abbreviated outing against ULL. Extended outing on the weekend against Ole Miss. Is he available to come back on Tuesday after throwing that many pitches on Sunday? I would think not, but we'll see. That's more information that we'll learn about how his arm is responding to a little bit of a workload here. And, I'd like to see Bryce Collins out there. And I think at some point you'll see Sam Dutton as well. It's going to be all hands on deck. And that used to be not all that interesting because it was just a parade of the back end of your pitching staff. But now you look up and you go, well, if Jay thinks this is how he's going to have to handle on Monday, if he's thrown Floyd for a ton of pitches on Friday and Skeens for a ton of pitches on Saturday, and you've lost a game on Sunday where Little threw 4 innings and you've used a lot of your bullpen, and you kind of got to lean on some guys that you haven't used all that much in high leverage spots on a 3-game weekend, well, what does that look like? I think that's interesting, and I think that's wise because I started talking in January about things that this team could do to get ready for June. Now, to me, it was like stretching guys out on a Tuesday because you've got so many options. That's no longer the case because Shores is gone and Taylor's gone and Edwards is gone, and you get the picture. It doesn't look the way that we thought it might in January. But I was talking about preparing things for the postseason in January, and now you actually hear that they're taking that to heart. And Jay was very careful to say yesterday, it's like, no, we didn't lose the game last week to Louisiana Lafayette because we were not trying to win. They played a lot better than us, and they, as he eloquently put it, they emptied the holster there, and they threw their best reliever and Friday night guy, and then got blown out over the weekend. Whatever. I don't really care what Louisiana Lafayette does. I'm more concerned with what LSU does, and with LSU, understanding you may be in a situation in a regional where you've thrown Floyd, Skeens, and Little and used a lot of the bullpen, especially on Sunday, and you got to come back and play a game on Monday with some of the guys that may not have pitched a lot of high leverage innings on the weekend, okay, that piques my interest a little bit. So let's see those guys go out there and pitch it against a team that's not an SEC level competition, but could be on the level of a team you might see in a regional. Is it totally out of the question that Nichols could be a 4 seed in a regional? No, it's not. They're in first place in their league. They could win the conference tournament. Then they could be a 4 seed somewhere. That could meander its way through the bracket, and you could see them again. So it's interesting. It's not an approach that we saw from Paul Mainieri in terms of the way he never said it that way. He definitely chopped midweek games up and used a lot of arms, but never said, we're actually using this as kind of an exercise to see if we need to do it in a regional. I think that's pretty fascinating. So we'll see about LSU and Nichols tonight. The first pitch is at 6:30. You can hear pregame on our sister station at 6 o'clock. That's Eagle 98.1. It'll be Chris Blair and Doug Thompson on the call. We'll certainly be reacting to it tomorrow, but I'm curious to see how that kind of looks now that Jay Johnson has admitted that's kind of how they're handling some of these midweek games. All right, let's take a time out. When we come back, this is interesting stuff that I pulled up today that was done by the Times-Picayune. And the question is, are the Saints elite in the NFL draft? I've said pretty emphatically that the draft is just massive for this team over the next couple of years because you have decided to make a big investment in quarterback, which you didn't necessarily have the last couple of years. So, does this Saints front office have your trust as an organization drafting? We'll tell you what the results say compared to the rest of the league over the last decade. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The NBA playoffs are here, and you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN right now and place a $5 bet. You'll get an instant $150 in bonus bets, whether you win or lose. There are great promotions like this every day on FanDuel. It is safe, secure, and the best part, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to play the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Bonus issues and non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or somebody knows has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I drove myself to the ER, had heart surgery, and drove myself home 24 hours later, feeling fine. Starting running again after the procedure, I'm getting excited thinking about it. I had no pain, nothing. I felt great. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back. It's just amazing.
Ochsner Health. Long live you.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TV to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the
Jimmy Otta and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson. That's Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Glenn West with us in about 15 minutes talking Tigers. Wanted to get into some New Orleans Saints talk as it pertains to the NFL draft. And there's a great piece up on Times-Picayune's website, NOLA.com, that was put together by Taryn Wack. And it profiles the last 10 years of NFL drafts and takes the first, second, and third round picks for every organization and compiles them. So 10 drafts, top 3 rounds. Doesn't have anything to do with the 4th through the 7th. Doesn't have anything to do with 25 years ago. 10 years, top 3 rounds. What does the data tell us? And before we get into the numbers, I just want to kind of lay out the situation for the New Orleans Saints, who we know had a roster that was very flawed last year and very hurt. And that created a losing season. It was not a very good team. They weren't very good at quarterback at times. They weren't very good on the defensive front stopping the run. They were banged up at the skill positions. They lost some tight games they should have won, and they weren't very good. So you move into this season, and you've made the big investment. I use that relatively speaking with the rest of the roster, not necessarily the rest of the league, but you've made a large investment in your quarterback, which, no matter what you want to say, the salary cap does exist. Now, the Saints can manipulate it and add some players. They're never going to be without enough players, but it does hamstring you from going into free agency and getting the top-level guys when you dump a bunch of money into the quarterback and you're over the salary cap and you got to start converting everything into bonuses and whittling back away to get back under it. Yes, you can still put a team together, but no, it is more difficult to go get elite-level free agents when you're over the salary cap. Okay, so my point is not to say that Mickey Loomis and Kai Harley and they don't know what they're doing. The opposite, it actually is true. The point is to say these drafts, these next 2 to 3 drafts with Derek Carr under contract are so important for a roster that still has significant holes on it. Where's your depth at running back? Where is your depth across the defensive front? What's going to happen with the interior offensive line over the next 2 years as contracts may expire? Like there are things that have to be addressed, and they're more easily addressed in the draft financially than they are in free agency. So the Saints have to hit on a high number of their draft picks over the next couple of years, because not that the Saints feel close to winning a Super Bowl, they feel close to the top of the division if they're not already there. You like what the Bucs have? Are you fired up about the Falcons' prospects right now? We'll see what the Panthers do, but it sounds like the odds are trending towards them taking Will Levis. So the Saints may be in the most advantageous spot of anybody in the division, especially next year. Their ceiling may not be as high as a couple of teams starting over who might hit on a young quarterback, but the Saints feel close to the top of the division, so it's certainly worth giving it a shot. You got to draft well. So had they drafted well? Let's go back to these numbers. Last 10 drafts, first, second, and third round. The Browns made the most picks in the league. They've made 39 picks in the first, second, or third round. The fewest is the Bears. They've taken 24 picks over those 10 years in those 3 rounds. The Saints have the 8th most. They're right there with 31 picks, right in the middle. 7 more than the fewest, 8 fewer than the most. But 8th in the league in terms of making these selections. Now, the Saints made 31 picks. 26 of their 31 picks in this data pool were active last year. That's an 83% hit rate on guys that are still active in the NFL over the last 10 years. The only team better is the Vikings. League average, 72% of your guys that you took in the first, second, or third round over the last 10 years. League average, 72%. Saints are at 83, 11 points better than that. So, of their 26 that are playing, that's the third most in the NFL. So, you're doing a good job of getting longtime pros in those first 3 rounds. Of those 31 picks, 26 became primary starters. 6 of them became Pro Bowlers. Terran Armstead, Andrews Pete, Michael Thomas, Marshawn Lattimore, Trey Hendrickson, Alvin Kamara. Pro Bowlers. That's the 4th most in the league to have 6 Pro Bowlers over these 10 drafts. That's pretty good. By the way, this I found interesting. And I think it's for multiple reasons, but it leads me to a different talking point. The fewest Pro Bowlers over that 10-year run, 3. By what team? Patriots. Fewest starters drafted in the first 3 rounds, 17 over 10 years. Also the Patriots. We'll get back to the Saints here in a second because that's the most important thing. But this is a 2-pronged effect on the Patriots. One, I think they trade back out of these picks so often that they just don't have as many of them as everybody. Therefore, you're not going to have as many Pro Bowlers or as many starters if you're trading your 3rd all the time for a 4th, 2 5ths, and a 7th next year. Like, if you just always do that, you just limit the number of picks. Second, you could do that when you had Tom Brady. They don't have Tom Brady. They have Mac freaking Jones. You might want to put some first-rounders around him. The whole division has left this team in the dust, in my opinion. The Bills are better, have been the last 2 years. The Dolphins are better, and I think the Jets got better today or yesterday. But that's beside the point. New England, start drafting some real players high in the draft. Back to the Saints. You look back at this history, and just for the sake of it, I'll just go through the names of the first, second, and third round picks that the Saints have drafted over this time period. It's Chris Olave, Trevor Penning, Alante Taylor. That looks like a really good draft at the top. Peyton Turner, Pete Werner, good. Paulson Adebo in the 3rd, looks like a good pick. Cesar Ruiz, excellent pick in the first round. Zach Bond, miss. Adam Troutman, looks like a miss. Then you got Eric McCoy, excellent picks. And then you got Marcus Davenport. That didn't quite work out. Traquan Smith, didn't quite work out. Then you got the greatest draft maybe in the history of the franchise. It's debatable. It's in the top 3 for sure. Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, Alvin Kamara, Alex Anzalone, and Trey Henderson in the first 3 rounds. You had 6 picks in that draft in the first 3 rounds, and you just knocked it out of the park. Sheldon Rankins, okay. Michael Thomas, all-pro. Von Bell, excellent. Andrews Pete, good player. Stephon Anthony, miss. Haloi Kikaka, okay. Garrett Grayson, whiff. PJ Williams, good player in the 3rd round. Then you got Brandon Cooks, excellent player, but didn't work out in New Orleans. Stanley Jean-Baptiste, whiff. So more often than not, the Saints have been pretty good in those first 3 rounds. I mean, you look at names like Terran Armstead, Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, Von Bell, Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, Alvin Kamara, Trey Hendrickson, Eric McCoy, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he was in the 4th, Cesar Ruiz, Pete Werner, Paulson Adebo, Chris Olave, Trevor Penning, Alante Taylor. It's been pretty good. And I think there was a narrative at some point that the Saints weren't very good at drafting. And it looks pretty good to me. Now, the question that we don't know the answer to fully is how involved was Sean Payton? Was he 80% of the weight in the room? Was he 50% of the weight in the room? Was he 30% of the weight in the room? You got coordinators. You got a GM. Sometimes an owner will throw something in there that's usually a little bit higher pick. How big was Sean Payton in terms of evaluation, strategy, aggressiveness? Like, I don't know that we know the answer to that. Now, we do know that Sean Payton was not around last year, and the Saints moved up, which was right out of their playbook. So it feels like, okay, they're still got the same DNA in there, even though Sean's not there. They do it again this year, which I would hate, by the way. I would hate them trading draft picks because I think they need bodies of guys that can fill multiple gaps in this roster. Then you'll know. You'll know that that's the same DNA. If you see some more of these big body, really athletic linemen that the Saints love with that relative athletic score, you'll know that Sean Payton may have been fully on board with it, but it wasn't as if he was asserting himself in a way that was overruling everybody else in the room. The Saints draft strategy, in my opinion, should be different now than it was 6 years ago. 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I am so on board with you trading up to go get the guy you think can make the difference. Because you've got Drew Brees and a chance to win a Super Bowl every year. So go get the one piece. Go get the one difference maker. Your roster's not there right now. You need a lot of help at like 5 positions. Can you try to supplement those 5 positions before you trade off the 3rd, the 4th, and the 7th to move up 6 spots in the 2nd? Like that to me should not be the strategy anymore. The organization has got to decide what they want to do and where they are. And where they are right now is not where they were toward the end of the Brees years. It's just not. So we'll see. We'll have more on like the actual players that we think the Saints should target over the next couple of days, and I'll ask Sharif his thoughts on as well. But the point of this discussion is to sit here and go, look, man, you look at what the Saints do and the rate at which they hit. 3rd most active players over the last 10 drafts in the first 3 rounds. Only the Vikings had a better hit rate than that. 6 Pro Bowlers of those 31 picks. 26 of 31 became primary starters in the first 3 rounds. That's a remarkably high hit rate. So I think there should be confidence that this group can land the right players. You're always going to have some misses. I don't know if Peyton Turner can play. I got serious doubts about it. Zach Bond, sorry, couldn't do it. Traquan Smith, not everybody's favorite around here. Not awesome. Stephon Anthony, whoops. But more often than not, you're hitting. And so that's what they got to do coming up on Thursday. They've got to make it count. I just hope they keep their picks and draft a bunch of guys. You need players on this roster. Division's winnable, but fix more holes than one. Just my thoughts on the matter. We'll chat with Glenn West of Go247 coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathandClosets.com is the website. You can see David Duvall and his team's great work over there at OneBathandClosets.com. You can also see testimonials. I can promise you this with David and his team. They're going to make things as simple and painless for you as possible. It starts with the fact that you only have to make one call. You don't have to call 4 contractors to have a bathroom renovation. You got to call 1. David and his team will come in. They'll give you a consultation. They'll give you a plan. They will stick to it. They'll show up on time. They'll complete their work on time, and they're not coming back 3 weeks later because they cut some corners and they've got to do something again. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. And if you tell David Duvall and his team that the Hunt Palmer Show sent you and you get them to put in a new closet, they're not going to charge you the labor to rip the closet out, not going to charge you for the labor to put the new closet in, just going to charge you for the cost of that unit. Customized closet could totally change the functionality and just the enjoyment of getting ready in the morning and then having to dig through a bunch of stuff or not have enough room. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. OneBathAndClosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big
in for live coverage of the 2023 NFL Draft, starting with Round 1 Thursday at 8 p.m. and continuing Friday at 6 p.m. and Saturday at noon. Our coverage is presented locally by Rouse's, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Let's head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotlines, where we'll find our guy Glenn West of Go247. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing great, Hunt. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. Let's start with the spring game on Saturday. Anything that caught your eye out in Tiger Stadium?
You know, I would have to say probably the quarterbacks. I mean, I'm going to keep it simple there, but you know, I thought Jaden looked really good. He pushed the ball downfield a couple times. You know, it was really solid. Just overall in making his decisions and reads. I thought Nussmeier also had some really nice moments as well. And really coming out of that scrimmage, I mean, if you were an LSU fan, you got to feel confident that you have two guys in that room right now that could legitimately both lead you to, you know, a really, really great season next year. And be contenders in this conference. So that was probably, you know, a big takeaway number one. Takeaway number two, probably Kyron Lacey and some of the weapons that offensively have really seemed to step up in this spring and improved. I think Noah Cain has also had a really nice spring as well. And then probably the secondary would be the one kind of downfall, I guess, of the spring. Some of the cornerbacks are still trying to get used to, I think, being in this system and playing alongside of one another. I think that was pretty evident on Saturday. There were some missed tackles, and that's going to take some time. And the defense isn't going to be full strength until you obviously get to work back in Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo and a lot of those pieces that missed a good chunk of spring. So I would say those are probably some of the main takeaways I had from the Saturday's game.
You think Kyron Lacey's the third receiver?
I think so right now. I mean, it's hard to go against what you saw on Saturday. I think a lot of the folks that we've talked to inside the program have been really impressed with his spring and just kind of the development that he's made this year. But I don't think you can rule out Aaron Anderson having a significant role with this team. Chris Hilton was a guy that they wanted to get involved on the deep ball. So I think there's going to be still some competition there. Kyle Parker certainly is a freshman that I think they're excited about. And then they don't even get Shelton Sampson on until this summer as well. So there's a lot of guys that I think will be in that mix. But I think Lacey, leaving the spring, is undoubtedly the runaway favorite there.
Do you think LSU is going to get the most first-place votes when they go to Nashville for media days in July in the West?
I think they have a good shot. I mean, you never want to say yes over a team like Alabama, but I think we've seen this spring that the Crimson Tide have a few questions with their own quarterback situation, and LSU's returning depth, especially on offense, certainly leads you to believe that they are going to have a really nice season next year. But you never know. I mean, I think that obviously you can never count out Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin and them having a nice season offensively. So I think LSU is going to be right up there with Bama in terms of the first place votes in the West. I mean, I don't expect them to get more votes than, say, a Georgia out east or even a Tennessee with the way that they had with the season they had last year. But LSU is going to be right up there, I think, at the top of the conference.
All right, let's switch over to baseball here, Glenn. Chase Shores on Instagram just moments ago wrote, "Tiger family, it's with a heavy heart that I announce my 2023 season has come to an end due to a UCL tear. I'm going to miss my time competing at Alec Box, but it won't stop me from being the best teammate and supporter for my boys as we close out the season. I will be back better than ever. Go Tigers, Chase Shores." So I don't think anybody was under the belief that he was going to return this season, but he does announce that he had a UCL tear. So your reaction to that post as we see it from Chase here today?
Yeah, I mean, very upsetting kind of loss for LSU. You kind of expected it was going to come to this, but I mean, this was a guy that I think was going to be an absolute superstar for you out of the bullpen this year, and you lose that arm, but I think you're hopeful that maybe he can have a quick turnaround with that injury. I think if you look at a guy like Javen Coleman and the turnaround that he had from last year's surgery, it leaves you optimistic that at least some of these guys can come back a little bit quicker. But certainly Shores is going to be a huge loss, but also I think they've found some things in recent weeks that leads you to believe that they can withstand a loss like Shores and still be really good out of the bullpen, because I think probably the biggest takeaway I had from this past weekend was the starting pitching and those guys able to go a little bit deeper into their outings, which was really, really positive if you're looking at it from that perspective for LSU.
What made Ty Floyd better on Saturday?
Honestly, just pitch control. I mean, he was, really shoving the strike zone there. He was really solid, I think, with all of his pitches. Had a nice mixture of pitches. He had the one 3-run homer. I mean, that seems to be kind of a staple for him. He'll always give up one of those big hits, but you didn't have as many of those big hits on Saturday, and so I think it's a momentum-building kind of outing for Ty. It was a career kind of outing that he can really point to and say, this is how it's done. This is how I can have success in this conference. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see, because, when you have guys like that can go 7 or 8 innings deep, it really takes a lot of the pressure off of the bullpen, and you can kind of dwindle some of those numbers, really rely on guys in certain situations and not really expect them to have to carry 3 or 4 innings for you. So really positive development, I think, for LSU this weekend with Ty Floyd's performance.
How about Christian Little getting into the 6th inning?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's another one of those big time takeaways to have. I think Little was maybe a little bit rocky to start. It looked like he was in for one of those innings where he'd have to kind of scrape through the first couple innings, but after that he really settled down. I was just listening to what Jay Johnson had to say about him yesterday, and it was really a positive for LSU to have him go that deep into the outing and finish off with a guy like Gavin Guidry, like Bryce Collins and Riley Cooper, and really, I mean, the fact that that Ty Floyd and Paul Skeens were able to get so deep into their innings or outings that allowed LSU to have a lot of options in the bullpen for that Sunday game, and I think that's probably the blueprint that you're hoping for if you're Jay Johnson and Wes Johnson moving forward.
I get this question a lot about Paul Skeens. I get, can he keep his pitch count down? Can he pitch to contact a little bit more? What are your thoughts on Skeens and the strikeouts and the pitch counts that seem to climb pretty quickly when he's out there?
Yeah, I mean, I hate trying to nitpick things like this because when he's out there, he's the most dominant pitcher in the country, and whether that's for 5, 6, 7 innings, that you're going to get really, really good pitching and mostly zeros on the board, even if that pitch count does go up. So, I understand that line of thinking in terms of, his pitch count getting high and how he's a big, high strikeout kind of guy. But, I think at the same time, it's not like you're not like you're disappointed when he's striking out 10, 11, 12 guys a game. I mean, it's just a part of who he is. It's part of the process of being a dominant pitcher that those hitters are going to have a tough time catching up to his ball. And so you're in for, some longer outings. And that's, I think, it's been positive that they've extended him into that kind of 115, 117 range the last couple of weeks. He's gotten a little bit higher pitch count. And, I think you hope that he can certainly last a little bit longer in some of these games moving forward. But I'm also not here complaining about Paul Skeens. That's one thing I won't do. So.
Well, it's just a little difficult to pitch to contact at 100. There's just not a lot of guys that make a lot of contact with 100. So that's just kind of what you've got to deal with. Offensively for this team, what do you think they do at catcher with Brady Neal still on the mend? Do you think it's 90% Milazzo? Do you think Stravinsky's earned a little bit more time? What do you think at catcher?
Yeah, I mean, judging from what Johnson said yesterday with media members, I would imagine Stravinsky certainly has bought himself some opportunities here in the coming weeks. I mean, just from an offensive perspective, he's been really solid when he's had those pinch hits, and somebody that I think Johnson really relies on in some of those crucial moments down the stretch. But I've also been really impressed with what Alex Milazzo has done at the plate. We know what he can do behind the plate as a defensive wizard, but he's been making really solid contact with the ball. He's really had some long extended at bats. He's moving base runners. He's doing everything you'd want from a starting catcher from an offensive perspective, and certainly on defense as well. So I don't think they're going to mix up things too much. I think Stravinsky will have his opportunities late in games in a tight game where you might need some runs. But I just don't see how you can go away from what Alex Milazzo has done for you the last 3 or 4 weeks.
I would imagine we'll see Thatcher Hurd at some point tonight. Do you still hold out hope that he can be a factor in high leverage spots for this team, or is it just maybe too late for that?
I do. I think you have to hold out hope that he can kind of get this together. I mean, Johnson said it really a number of times this year, how if they want to get to where they want to go, they really have to get Thatcher Hurd going and being a part of this pitching staff on a week in, week out basis. And I know it's been tough on him. The confidence certainly seems to be waning a little bit with some of these outings, but he's a guy that throws 95, 96 miles an hour, and when he's in control, which I'm not saying he has been the last month or so, but when he's in control, he can be very good for you. And I just think that it's going to be tough to kind of get that confidence moving right back in the right direction. But I think he's a guy that you're going to have to keep throwing out there and hope that he can get right before the postseason.
Glenn, thanks for your time, man.
All right, Hunt. Thank you. Take care.
He is Glenn West, Go247. He's our senior right over there for your team coverage, for your recruiting coverage. Do a great job over at Go247. We appreciate Glenn for hopping on every single Tuesday at 1:30. Come back. close out hour number one. I've got a couple of takes on the NBA playoffs. It's not like digesting the games and dissecting matchups and whatnot. Just some thoughts on some of the things people were saying and doing that is a little interesting to me. So we'll do that to close hour number one next.
This is On Palmer. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
On Wednesday's OTB, it's the penultimate day before the draft, and we bring you all the latest from mock draft season. Plus, how did the Tigers fare in their midweek game against the Colonels? Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Coming down the home stretch of the Dreams Come True Radiothon that we've been doing all April long here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge Clinic brings you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. Dreams Come True Radiothon presented today by Louis Mechanical and Acura of Baton Rouge. You can donate today at 1045ESPN.com. Every $5 donated is an entry into our raffle to win an Aaron and Austin Nola autographed bat, ball, and picture, Justin Jefferson autographed LSU helmet, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase framed wall print, 3 days, 2 nights of the CMA Music Festival in Nashville from Friday, June 9th to Sunday, June 11th. Concert ticket package to see Thomas Rhett, Shinedown, Zach Brown, Depeche Mode, Guns N' Roses, and Hardy. If you can jump in there and donate, we certainly appreciate it. It has been such an amazing effort by our listeners across all 4 of our stations that is helping us to make as many of these dreams come true as we possibly can for these young people in our state that are fighting these tough battles. So thank you all so much for everything you've done with the Dreams Come True Radiothon. If you have not donated or have the means to, you can go to 1045 1045ESPN.com and donate. NBA playoffs last night, the Heat beat the Bucks to go up 3-1, and Jimmy Butler scored 56 points. And I'm watching this game, and it's like the Bucks just don't even care that Jimmy Butler can't miss. They never send a double. They never help. They lose him in transition. What are you doing? Like, I realize there are some coaches and sometimes game plans that say, hey, we'll let the one guy get as much as he can. We're not going to let anybody else get anything. We're just going to let him. Well, what? No. He scored 56. At some point, don't you want Vincent or Struss to beat you? Butler, maybe? Anyone? I mean, it's like, I don't understand how you can just let one guy just light it up, and then they come down in transition. There's just nobody with Jimmy Butler. It was ridiculous that no one ever changed. Miami scored 41 points in the fourth quarter. It's just ridiculous that Milwaukee couldn't do anything to combat that. And that was the story on the east side. On the west side, I'm getting a little bit of a kick out of what's going on with the Grizzlies. And I got Dylan Brooks yapping about how LeBron's old. I don't care until somebody pulls up and scores 40 on me, whatever, which is fine to say that. If you want to say that, fine. Doesn't hurt anybody. Just your opinion. You're a tough guy. You're cool. Awesome. Say it all you want. But when LeBron goes for 20 points and 20 boards, and the Lakers take control of the series, and he's the best player out there, I kind of like you to answer for that. Instead, the media went to Dylan Brooks and was like, hey, you want to talk tonight? And he literally said, no, I'm good. I'm out. That looks weak, boss. Looks real weak. You're going to have the gumption, the fortitude, the confidence, the cockiness, the swagger to come and tell me that LeBron's old, I don't care about anybody, and then he beats you, and you don't want to talk about it? I don't know about that. Not a great look. Ja Morant, skip media. It just looks soft. And I think there's always going to be a faction of sports fans that think that any media that the players do is unimportant, and if they don't want to do it, they shouldn't have to do it, and it's stupid, and the media is wrong, and they're annoying, and all that kind of stuff. I can't tell you it appreciably changes the product, but I can tell you it's a bad look to grab all the microphones and do all your talking and then get your butt kicked and cower and bail. Not a good look. And I don't have any problem saying that about pros. Memphis up against it now with the Lakers up 3-1. Better come out in the forum and play hard. The trash talking thing, you got to back it up. If you can't back it up on the floor, you need to back it up in front of the microphone and say, yeah, he got at me, I'm coming next game. I just don't like yap, 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 and then fade into the background. That's weak, in my opinion. That's hour one here on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube. It's all right there. We opened with a little thought on LSU and Nichols tonight from the box. Saints draft picks over the last 10 years. Where do they stack up in the top 3 rounds with the rest of the league? Great piece on the Times-Picayune website that I went through and kind of gave you the details on at 1:15. Glenn West of Go 247 in his normal 1:30 segment. Coming up in hour number 2, we got a lot to get to. Aaron Rodgers is headed to the Jets. Best college football players of all time ranked by 247. Joe B making an appearance there? I'll let you know at 2:15. Sharif Ishak at 2:30. Sports Trivia at Pluckers tonight, 8:30 Nicholson location. Watching LSU Nichols, watching some NBA basketball, winning Pluckers gift cards. Should be a good time, so come on out and join us. But if you're not going to do that, then join us for hour number 2. It's coming up after Sports Center next.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers slated to arrive in New Jersey tonight now that his trade to the Jets from the Packers has been finalized, according to ESPN's Diana Rossini. He is expected to renegotiate his contract before the trade becomes official. Meanwhile, Green Bay did well in its return in that trade as it moves on to Jordan Love as its starter, believes our Keyshawn Johnson.
This is good. The Packers can now turn their focus to trying to build around Jordan Love for the future, picking up somebody in this year's draft, and if he's good enough, they pick up his fifth-year option. If he's good enough, next year they got enough picks to go back in there and build around him some more.
Key of Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. The NHL has suspended Avalanche star defenseman Cale Makar for his hit on Seattle leading scorer Jared McCann in Game 4 of the first round of that Stanley Cup playoff series. Makar getting a game. McCann is out at least for tomorrow's Game 5. NL Central leading Pirates and outfielder Brian Reynolds agreed to an 8-year, $106 million extension. It is the largest deal in franchise history, and the extension comes months after Reynolds requested a trade this offseason.
If you're experiencing a spring hiring rush, then you need Indeed. Their powerful all-in-one hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Want to find your next great hire? Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Moving right along on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Sharif Ishak with us in 30 minutes talking Saints draft. If you turn on national radio, you turn on national television. I mean, I'm looking at the ESPN screen right now, and they're talking about the Aaron Rodgers trade. And that's all that they're going to talk about for 2 days until the draft starts. And for good reason. He's one of the greatest players of all time, and he's moving franchises. And I'm going to give you a couple of what I think are humorous statistics here in a second, just for entertainment purposes. But one of the things that I found interesting about the fallout from this deal is it does impact the Saints, because the Saints play the Packers this year. And Jeff Duncan, who has done a great job covering the Saints for NOLA.com and The Athletic and bouncing around now with NOLA.com for a long time, put a tweet out this week that really hit home for me. We'll see if it does the same for you. He laid out the supposed starting quarterbacks for every Saints opponent this upcoming season. That list would have included Aaron Rodgers. Now it doesn't. You sub in Jordan Love. And these are the quarterbacks that join Jordan Love on the Saints schedule. Right now for Atlanta, it's Desmond Ridder. Carolina's got the first pick in the draft. I think it's going to be Bryce Young. Might be Will Levis. But are you scared either way? Probably not. Justin Fields. Talented. Proven? No. Jared Goff. You shaking in your boots over Goff? I doubt it. I mentioned Bryce Love. Davis Mills, which could be Will Levis or C.J. Stroud or whatever Houston decides to do. Either way, are you going to be petrified of that? No. Gardner Minshew. Could be Will Levis. Could be Anthony Richardson. I don't know what the Colts are going to do, but Minshew right now? Okay, Trevor Lawrence. Okay. Then you got Matt Stafford. Won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Team wasn't very good last year. He was banged up. Is he past his prime? Probably. Kirk Cousins. You like that? Mac Jones? Daniel Jones? Danny Dimes? Have we gotten to the point where you're scared yet? No? The Baker boy, Baker Mayfield. How about Ryan Tannehill? That's the list. No Burrow, no Mahomes, no Adams, no Rodgers, no more Brady. No Herbert. I mean, it's pitiful. Ritter, Young, Fields, Goff, Love, Mills, Minshew, Lawrence, Stafford, Cousins, Jones, Mayfield, Tannehill. I mean, you know the Saints division is bad, but the schedule doesn't look that difficult either. You don't play any of the best 5 quarterbacks in the league. And there was such a time where the Saints division was pretty well set up because you had Breeze, you had Newton, you had Ryan. For a long time, you had Winston as well. And there was not that much turnover. And now it's just all up for grabs. And really, all the good quarterbacks are over in the AFC, and you're not dealing with them. You're not even dealing with Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott. Crazy to me. Great tweet by Jeff Duncan. It's not a gauntlet. Now, there's a reason why I led with LSU baseball, and we talked about the Saints, and we've done stuff in the first hour that is locally relevant. And I don't do a lot of national stuff on this show because you know where to get it, and most of the time you want to hear about LSU and the Saints. But Aaron Rodgers to the Jets is a national story, and I'm not going to sit here and break down the trade and the value of it and that's not really the point. I did do some research on it and looking through, and some of the statistics that I'm digging up, or that were dig up and I read, honestly, on the Jets, it's a lot worse than I thought. Frankly, I did not consider the Jets franchise significantly worse than the Chargers or the Dolphins or the Bears. I mean, to me, they've just been not that great. They got to the 2 championship games under Mark Sanchez, but okay. No, it's a lot worse than I thought, just kind of standing in the wind watching from the back. The Jets have some statistics that will blow your mind. The only offenses in the league that were worse than the Jets last year, statistically from a quarterback perspective, were Indianapolis and Houston. Indianapolis and Houston were actively trying to lose. The Jets had a young quarterback they were trying to win with. These Jets lost 11-9 to the Skylar Thompson-led Dolphins. That's just recent history. That's not near what we're getting towards. There are some metrics that ESPN and people of that ilk have compiled that measure quarterback play. And I'm not going to get into how those are created because it doesn't matter, but they do it and it's objective. The last time the Jets posted back-to-back quarterback seasons that were above league average was 1990 and 1991. That is 33 years ago. The last time they posted an above-average starting quarterback season was Josh McCown in 2004. Rodgers, by the way, is 86% better than league average for the course of his career. So that's something. How about this stat about the Jets? This is mind-blowing to me. The Jets have not had a single player on their roster receive a single most valuable player vote. One vote. Since Joe Namath in 1972. Not one player has gotten one vote, not win the MVP. Not a single vote for anyone who's played for the Jets since 1972. None for Testaverde, none for Curtis Martin. Unbelievable. The Jets have the longest current playoff drought in all 4 American sports. NHL, NBA, MLB, NFL. Jets are the worst. They have the longest. Some of these stats, they've won the division twice since 1970. In New York, twice since 1970. That's more than 50 years. They've won it 2 times. This is a league that rigs the deck so that bad teams can become good. You were bad last year. Here's the the first pick. You were bad last year. Here's a top 5 pick. Oh, and we'll give you the easiest schedule. The league literally rigs it so that you can have a chance to win pretty quickly when things go south. And the Jets have won their division 2 times in the last 70 years. 50 years, sorry, since 70. Got a little carried away with my Jets stats. It's just unfathomable that they could be that bad that long. And so I think this is the right move for them as far as the Jets go. You've got a situation where you've got a guy that can definitely play. You return 10 of your 11 starters on defense, and I think the Jets become a playoff team overnight with Aaron Rodgers. And as a side note, when I was talking in the last hour about the New England Patriots and the fact that they haven't drafted well and haven't drafted Pro Bowlers, and oh, by the way, look at what the Bills are doing. Oh, by the way, the Dolphins have looked pretty good the last couple of years, and here come the Jets. The Patriots, I think, are in trouble. I think they're the worst team in their division, and this will slightly impact Bill Belichick's legacy. Because I think the last 5 years of his career are going to be pretty mediocre to poor. Because the other teams in his division are just better than him. And I think that you'll look at Brady, who immediately left and won a Super Bowl, and when he left, it all went to hell in New England. That's not a great look. And the last piece to this Rodgers deal, shout out to my Chicago folks. Y'all know that I'm paying attention to them most of the year, especially right now as the Cubs are in action. And it's open season in the NFC North now. The Packers have had this thing locked down since 1995, basically, with the Favre and Rodgers era. Since that time, they've won the division 15 times. Minnesota's won it 7. Chicago's won it 5. Tampa won it once. And Detroit's never won it. And I think with the Jordan Love era coming in, much like New England right now is trying to find a quarterback, and the Saints have been in this market for a quarterback for a couple of years, like with that situation, sometimes there comes some real struggles. And I think the Packers could be in for that. So which of those teams wants to step to the forefront? The Lions, having not won the division one single time since 2015, since 1995, is pathetic too. Just pathetic. Win the division once. But that's your NFL chatter here for the day. We're going to have Sharif on talking some Saints draft coming up in 15 minutes. What should the Saints do? What direction are they going? But when we come back, 247 Sports put together a list of the best college football players of all time. I've got some beef with one of these, pretty significant beef with one of them. And then we'll see, where does Joe Burrow rank? Is he close to the top, at the top? I'll tell you next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. And in April, we're telling you about Dr. Robert Jackson. Dr. Jackson founded the MLK Health Center and Pharmacy in Shreveport. It's Northwest Louisiana's oldest free clinic and pharmacy. It provides $16 million in services to over 1,700 patients each and every year up in North Louisiana. And the clinic operates at no expense to the patient. It returns an average of $25 to the community for every dollar invested in the center. The MLK Health Center and Pharmacy is why Dr. Robert Jackson is a champion of Louisiana. If you know somebody like Dr. Jackson who's doing great philanthropic work in our state, whether it's in North Louisiana, South Louisiana, wherever it is, we want to tell their story. And LWCC gives us that platform with their Champions of Louisiana campaign. So go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, and Robert Jackson is our April champion of Louisiana.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Sandgrove, join us for the Wednesday edition of Hanny Time. Scott Rabelais from The Advocate joins us. We do first class, second class, no class, and we are 24 hours away from the NFL draft. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, so best 20 football players of college football players of all time. It's a list that was put together by 247 Sports. Grant Hughes helped put it together. And he said, in building our rankings, we valued prolonged dominance, individual and team accolades, and the overall legacy left by each respective player. Our list includes offensive juggernauts and defensive stalwarts that span generations, with the oldest selection beginning his college career in 1907 and the youngest concluding his in 2019. So, where does the list start? And it starts by putting me in a bad mood from the beginning, because I feel like they just got way too lazy with the number one pick for the best college football player of all time. And if I say number one college football player of all time, I'm assuming you, the listener, now there are people spanning all kind of different ages that are listening to the show, but I'm assuming you're thinking Herschel Walker. I'm assuming you're thinking Bo Jackson. I'm assuming you're thinking Tim Tebow from down here. And I know he won 2 Heismans, but Archie Griffin, to me, is not the best college football player of all time. He was better than everybody else for 2 years, but he wasn't the best ever. Archie Griffin was not better than Herschel Walker. And I didn't see either one of them play. But I feel like you're just leaning on well, he won the Heisman twice. No one's ever done that. He's best ever. Just because you were the best for 2 years doesn't mean you were the best ever. And he's the first player to ever start in 4 Rose Bowls, and his statistics were very good. Herschel Walker would deserve it more so than Archie Griffin to me. The rest you can kind of put in a blender to an extent. They've got Herschel at 2, Barry Sanders at 3. Archie Griffin's not better than Barry Sanders either. Barry Sanders ran for 2,600 yards and 37 touchdowns. And that stat line doesn't include the 222-yard, 5-touchdown performance he put up in 3 quarters of action in the Holiday Bowl against Wyoming. He had 5 consecutive 200-yard games, scored 2 touchdowns or more in all 11 games. He was sensational and better than Archie Griffin, I would suggest. They got Bo Jackson at 4, which I'm fine with. Earl Campbell at 5, which I'm fine with. O.J. Simpson at 6. It's just a bunch of running backs there, which I'm okay with. Ricky Williams at 7. Ricky Williams is sensational. There's no question about it. And so I can't get too upset with that. And then you got Jim Brown at 8. And then you get where I got to have a little bit of a beef with this list of best college football players of all time. When you have a list where at 10 you've got Tim Tebow, at 11 you've got Cam Newton, you got Dick Butkus, Joe Burrow comes in at 13. I'll get my thoughts on that in a second. But all those guys are behind Jim Thorpe. I mean, come on. The guy played in 1907. What was the game even like? Was the center even snapping it between his legs at that point? Or they handed it to the quarterback who would run around the end? He was just faster than all the other guys who couldn't play college football today. Jim Thorpe was a great athlete. He went to the Olympics, track and field, the whole deal. I got it. I know the Jim Thorpe story. He's not better than Cam Newton, okay? I don't even know what game he was playing at that point. Who was trying to tackle him? I don't think so. You can give an ode to the past by backing things up a little bit and putting him at 18 or something. Putting him in front of Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, and Joe Burrow, I got a bit of a beef with. He played for Carlisle College. He's a gold medalist. Pentathlon, decathlon in his era, phenomenal. You can't tell me what he was doing is better than what I've been watching for the last 15 years. Now, Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, Joe Burrow. That's a modern quarterback-driven debate that we can have here. And 247 puts Tebow at 10th, Newton at 11th, and then Burrow at 13 behind Dick Butkus, which Butkus is not really, I don't really count for the point of this discussion. And I'm a little torn on it because you understand the bias that's inside of me with the purple and gold, and I watched all 3 of these guys play in person, and I was very much present for the greatness that they all displayed. And when I saw Cam Newton play in Auburn in 2010 in person, I left that stadium that day and said, that is the best college football player I have ever seen. I said that. That team around him wasn't even that good. Nobody on that offense was an NFL player. They had Fairley on the defensive side, but he was that good. He had 2,800 yards passing, 30 touchdowns passing. Then he ran for 1,400 yards and 20 touchdowns and really carried Auburn all the way to the end. He was the best player I had ever seen at that point, and that did include Tebow, who was gone by then. Tebow's career spanned 4 years. Cam Newton spanned 4 months. That's where you get to the differentiation. Some of the statistics that Tebow piled up, if you've now kind of forgotten them and they're in a distant memory bank for you, in terms of passing, he threw for 9,000 yards and 88 touchdowns. He also ran for almost 3,000 yards, 2,947, almost 3,000, and 57 scores. He was a force. Now, he had a great team around him and a great coach. That team was frightening with Demps and Rainey and Harvin and Hernandez and Cooper. It was, that offense with the ball handling that they would do with the Urban Meyer system, it was frightening. And he was, and I remember thinking when Tebow was playing and I was in the student section, thinking, man, this guy's never going to mess up. He's never going to make a mistake. We're just going to have to stop him. And this is hard to do. And he did throw the tipped pick in 2007 that helped us with the comeback. But he was just so rock solid and steady. And to me, that probably is going to vault him over Cam and Joe based on a career of work. Then you compare Cam and Joe and the seasons they had. And the biggest differentiator between those two is the supporting cast. Burrow's was the best team of all time, and Cam's was not. It was an average team that he elevated. So that's the biggest differentiator. However, I thought Joe's season was better. I thought Burrow throwing 60 touchdowns and 6 picks and lighting it up in Austin, lighting it up in Tuscaloosa, lighting it up in the semifinal, and lighting it up in the final vaults him into it's the greatest season in the history of the sport. To complete 76% of your throws for 5,600 yards and 60 touchdowns in one season. It's the greatest season we've ever seen. You can toss Barry Sanders in there and I'll listen to it. But in terms of careers, well, what was Joe's junior year? Tebow's sophomore year won the Heisman. Burrow rode the bench. So I will give Tebow the nod for the purposes of this list. If you're talking about careers, but if you're talking about seasons, it's Burrow. But I got real beef going Archie Griffin at the top because that's lazy. And I got beef with Jim Thorpe. By the way, to complete the list, go through a few more. Hugh Green, linebacker for Pittsburgh, going back a little bit. Orlando Pace, offensive tackle at Ohio State. We obviously know Hall of Famer. Neon Deion Prime at number 16, cornerback from Florida State. Derek Thomas, the Alabama pass rushing star, number 17. Charles Woodson at number 18, cornerback out of Michigan who won the Heisman. The Boz, number 19. And then at number 20, amazing. I don't know that I would have tossed him in the top 20 of all time. I feel like you could dig around and find some guys maybe a little bit more deserving, but he did win the Heisman Trophy, and he did put up a lot of stats, and he was a lot of fun to watch unless there was purple and gold on the other side, and that is, of course, Johnny Manziel from over at Texas A&M. He broke a lot of NCAA and SEC records. He had the most total offense in a season, only freshman and the 5th player in NCAA history to throw for 3,000 and run for 1,000 in a season. It was really, really good. Maybe we're scarred a little bit because they couldn't move the ball in LSU. Just could not do it. So that's your list of best college football players of all time. I got a little beef of it. And look, Joe not being in the top 10, probably going to make some people around here a little cranky, but sat the bench for 2 years and then was an above average quarterback for one before he had the greatest season anybody has ever seen. So that's your list of top college football players, courtesy of 247. Let's take a timeout. Sharif Ishak talking Saints draft. That's next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Rally Cap Brewing. It's handmade for the home team right here in Baton Rouge. I've got these 2 cans right here on my set every day. Got the first pitch right here in the teal. If you're headed to Alec Box Stadium tonight looking for a cold pop, try the first pitch. It's right here. You can't miss it in the teal can, and it is really, really good. Got the Windy Peppercorn up here as well, which is not necessarily my style, but I know a lot of people love it. We went over to the tap room to try a tour a couple of weeks ago, and the 3 people I was with absolutely loved the Windy Peppercorn. It's a golden milk stout with coffee and vanilla. They got all kinds of stuff over there at Rally Cap. So go over there and do a tour. Tomorrow, Wednesday, they got them. Thursday, they got them. Friday, they got them. 5 o'clock on those weekdays, 1 o'clock on Saturday, but you got to purchase your tickets in advance. The end of that tour of the Rally Cap Brewery gives you a guided flight, which everybody's going to like. You can try a number of their great beers. Great place to watch games. 14 beers on tap, 8 TVs, family-friendly, pet-friendly, right there off of Segan Lane. It is a really, really cool spot here in Baton Rouge, and we appreciate them for jumping aboard with the show. Rally Cap Brewing, it is handmade for the home team.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-10.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. LSU and Nichols at the box. We're previewing the game. We'll continue our SEC spring recaps, counting you down to the NFL draft. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
NFL draft just a couple of days away. Saints will be picking the back end of the first round unless they decide to get aggressive and move right on up, which has been the MO of this team and this front office for a good amount of time. Sharif Ishak covers the black and gold for WDSU, joins us every Tuesday, joins us now on the Jim's Firearm Hotline. Sharif, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Going to be a crazy draft, man. A lot of uncertainty being at number 29, even in the first, 15 picks. It's going to be hard to tell what happens.
Well, I'm curious how much you think, and we can't know, but how much do you think Sean Payton influenced that room when he was the head coach? You've got coordinators in there, you've got general manager in there, you've got salary cap folks in there, and then you got Sean Payton in there. How much weight do you think his opinion carried over his 15 years?
I think it was pretty much all of his weight. Whatever pick he wanted, he got. I mean, you saw how most of the years he built his team in the trenches, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. It was rare that you saw him do anything outside of that, even though it was unpopular for the fan base whenever he drafted, players like Andrus Peat, Cesar Ruiz. You saw it years after years drafting Marcus Davenport, giving up another first-round pick. It's his MO. He likes to draft offensive linemen and defensive linemen, and I hope the Denver Broncos fans are ready for that because he's going to do that there too. So he likes to build up front.
So last year with no Sean Payton, the Saints did get aggressive and traded up and grabbed a wide receiver. So am I to think that even though Sean Payton's not there anymore, kind of his influence on the people that are still there with Dennis Allen and Mickey Loomis and that crew we should still expect the Saints to look kind of the same, to be aggressive as opposed to maybe trading back to address more needs?
Oh, yeah. I think they've traded close to 20 times in the Mickey Loomis era, moved up close to 20 times. And, yeah, they're always going to move up, never move back, especially if they're players within reach and they don't have to give up a lot of draft capital, because this team certainly needs a lot of players moving forward. I've said that many times. They can't give up much draft capital, but if the player is there within, say 17 to 22, I think they'd do it if it's the right player. But to me, I wouldn't do it. I'm not really in love with any player to give up any draft capital this year. I feel like the draft is deep to where they can add some players and make the team look good for years to come. So I'm ready to stay put at 29, but they are always aggressive, and they get paid millions of dollars to know what they're doing.
What do you think they're going to do? You think they'll trade up?
Look, man, I honestly think this might be the one year they sit. Their biggest draft needs, and we had Mike Triplett on Sunday. We talked about it. It's obvious: defensive line, defensive tackle, and a playmaker on offense, whether it be tight end, running back, or receiver. I think you're going to see them at least address the defensive line a couple of times in this draft, and it depends on how the board falls. Everyone, Brian Brzee from Clemson, Miles Murphy from Clemson. Kalijah Kancey is an interesting one. They're texting back and forth with Cam Jordan. He likes him, but the thing is he's not that big. He's 6'1".
Yeah.
I think not even 31 when it comes to his arm length, and that's not great. But he also pointed out to me that Sheldon Rankins was that close to that as well when they drafted him, and he was impressive for the Saints. So he's an interesting one because he can make big plays. So I think that they're looking at that position. Don't be surprised if Jahmyr Gibbs is on the board at 29. They don't take a swing and take him because he's got Alvin Kamara-like play.
What would you think if they took a tight end, one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends on the board?
Be okay with it. It's not the sexiest pick as well, but how Derek Carr has operated his offenses with the Raiders, Boston Morrow, Darren Waller, and that's where they start with in their offense. To have successful tight ends, it kind of helps on the outside too. I wouldn't be mad with it if Dalton Kincaid is there. I'd be all for it. I'd say Kincaid, Michael Mayer, and then Darnell Washington from Georgia. I like Darnell Washington. I prefer they do that in the second round if Washington's still sitting there. To me, this is what I would do, Hunt. Jahmyr Gibbs, Darnell Washington, and I know they got to address that defensive line, but it's deep. They got so many. They can get that in the 3rd and 4th round with the defensive line. I would do that, honestly, and really give Derek Carr some playmakers for the next few years to come, and they get that offense reloaded too.
You mentioned Gibbs, and we've heard Bijan Robinson's name, and I saw Tank Bigsby tossed around in the 3rd round. And what do you think Alvin Kamara's future with the Saints is?
Certainly that possible suspension certainly looms right now. We don't know what's going to happen. His side, their side, and the truth. But still, they need a running back, an Alvin Kamara-like running back, because he's entering his seventh season in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of years on a running back. And then Jamal Williams, 28 years old, you got to get another running back. I mean, that's why I'm all for it in the 1st round. Now, if they don't do it in the 1st round, you can go, 3rd or 4th round to Tajay Spears, even Devon A-Chain. I know how much we don't like Texas A&M, but he's a very good running back.
The last game I saw him play, he was pretty good. So, yeah.
215 yards, I think I remember. He destroyed LSU.
It felt like about 415 yards, yeah.
Right. So I like him. I think a lot of people would agree with that. And Kendrick Miller from TCU, that's another position that's very deep in the draft. So if you don't deal with Gibbs in the 1st round, or maybe he's sitting there in the 2nd round, I think at that point you have to take him at 40 if he's sitting there. But yeah, I mean, they have to address the running back room in a big way, and I think the best way to do it is in this draft. And they've got some good studs in this draft for that.
We know, best player available is something that's talked about a lot. Is there a position that the Saints could draft at number 29 that you would go, why did you do that? Like, is there a position on the field that you're set? You don't need to deal with that, other than quarterback. Take quarterback out.
I mean, if Hendon Hook is there, I mentioned that the other night. Hendon Hook is there. Do you do it? You have 5 years with him with the 5th-year option. Do you put him in there? And you think, all right. But I understand that will If they didn't sign Jameis Winston, I probably would have done it. I made a joke the other night on our 30-minute show. I said, if he's there, take him, but kind of been a joke. But maybe it isn't a joke. Maybe they take Hendon Hooker if he's still sitting there at 29, because if he's still sitting there and you let him pass, somebody will come up and get him at 30 or 31 and trade with one of the other two teams behind you. I think that would be the one that would surprise me, is if they went quarterback, because offensive line doesn't surprise me. You know, the position that look, if Brian Branch from Alabama is sitting there because they need another safety, if he's sitting there at 29, that's another one you'd have to think about taking. That wouldn't surprise me, but quarterback would be the only thing that would surprise me. Maybe cornerback would kind of maybe throw me for a loop if they went and got somebody there at 29.
What about linebacker?
They do need linebacker help. But once again,
are you sensing a theme here? We're sensing a theme. They could use somebody just about everywhere.
Everywhere, but I mean, there's some reach positions. Like, I'm not reaching for cornerback and linebacker at that 29th overall pick. I'd be okay with Brian Branch or Jahmyr Gibbs at 29. I mean, those are positions of need for sure. But so is linebacker. But I think I can hold off on linebacker there in the third or fourth round as well.
All right, give me your honest opinion as a guy who sees the black and gold. You're in that city. Is there anybody that the Panthers could take at 1 that would scare you? Like, how do you feel if they take Bryce Young?
I'm okay with it. I think that they're going to be like the way Frank Reich runs offenses. They're going to be pretty good for years to come. It's going to maybe take a couple years to take get Bryce Young in the fold, and assume that Andy Dalton would start off the season as the quarterback, unless Bryce Young just blows them away during the off season. But no, I think they're going to be good. I think they'll be fine. I think the division in 2 to 3 years from now is going to be way better than most divisions in the NFL, because there's just going to be a lot of young talent that they're going to scoop up in the draft, whether in free agency. A lot of these teams are bad now, but will be good because of what they're going to get in the draft in the next few years. Like, Bucks are going to be bad. You think the Falcons will be bad, but who knows? I mean, Arthur Smith is a good coach, and he's an offensive head coach, so they might be better than we think. And then there's the Panthers. But yeah, no, I think that I saw what came out this morning, the betting odds that, Will Levis getting closer to being possibly the number 1 overall pick. Let them do that. I think he's a solid quarterback. I don't think he's better than Bryce Young. But I think I'd laugh if they were to take Will Levis over Bryce Young, though.
What about Anthony Richardson, who I don't think is on the board for him, but what would you think if they did that?
Do it. I'd laugh my way to the Saints winning the NFC South the next 2 to 3 years, then until they can figure it out, because that would be the worst decision they can make. I think he has the arm, and he's mobile. I mean, yes, he fits Reich's type of prototype of quarterback, but I just don't think that it's not for me. I don't think that would work out well. Go ahead and do it though.
What round for Kayshon Boutte?
Man, he has slipped tremendously, hasn't he? I'd say 5th round. 5th round. 4th or 5th round.
Man, that's just shocking, but it's certainly not off the table. All right, NFL draft coming up on Thursday. We'll talk to you next week about it, Sharif. Thanks.
Anytime, Mike.
He's Sharif Ishak, WDSU. Speaking of the draft, it's Thursday, 7 o'clock, Don Juan Cigar Bar. It's the Rouse's 104.5 ESPN draft stream and party, if you will. We want you all to come out. Come out to Don Juan and hang out with us. The whole station's going to be there. We'll be grabbing the headsets, doing a little live stream from Don Juan that you can watch on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, or come hang out and watch the draft with us. I know Jimmy will have bets on all the picks, and he'll be yelling and screaming like he was last year, and we'll be chatting, and I'll be checking in on my Bengals. We'll see. It's going to be a lot of fun. So Rouse is bringing you the draft party over there at Don Juan Cigar Bar Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Let's take a timeout, come back, and close it up. Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Not only did she tell us, but this young lady, stand up. And this young lady
there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
Doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable,
There
trustworthy.
it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and
Founder and
extraordinary.
CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio.
Again, it's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Jimmy out and Mike Delicano for the Tuesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're at Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson. That's Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you're just tuning in, just jumping in the car, just paying attention, coming out of a meeting or lunch or whatever it may be, and missed the news of the day regarding LSU baseball, Chase Shores took to his Instagram and Twitter and posted that he did, in fact, have a UCL tear. His season is over. He'll undergo Tommy John surgery, I believe, has already done so, and hopes to come back as quickly as possible. I think what we've seen Javen Coleman do is probably going to accelerate people's expectation for Grant Taylor and for Chase Shores moving forward. It just takes time. And if neither one of those guys pitches next year, I won't be surprised. We'll see. But maybe they will. Javen Coleman's came back with 6 weeks to go in the season. Maybe that's the Grant Taylor timeline, but it's just disappointing and just part of the sport. I get asked all the time. It's like, is this a pitching coach problem? Is this a training staff problem? It's like, it just happens. It happens in Fayetteville. It happens in Oxford. It just happens. It happens in the big leagues. And you got a young arm throwing 99 miles an hour. Sometimes it just doesn't hold up. But you come back stronger, and it's just disappointing that you're going to miss such a big portion of the careers of Chase Shores and Grant Taylor, just like you did for Javen Coleman. But it's a bummer, but not one that we didn't really see coming over the last few weeks. All right, Jacob Beck, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, starting off here. World number one John Rahm says when he retires from golf, he will become a broadcaster. Rombo in the booth. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. I think he will be great at that. He's a historian. He studies the history of the game very closely. He's passionate about the game. It's going to be a skill set he's got to learn, but he did jump in the booth over at Harbortown for the RBC a couple of weeks ago and did a nice job. John Rahm's very likable, very affable, very considerate, and he does a great job in press conferences. So I think he would do a great job in the booth. The tragedy in the whole thing, not a tragedy, but the sad part about this whole deal is like Phil Mickelson could have been just an unbelievable television personality for 20 years if he would have just stayed the course instead of trying to suggest that he needed to use a murderous ruler across the pond for leverage on the PGA Tour. Say what you will about guys going to live, and you can do that and take your money, and y'all know my feelings on live, but you don't have to go in front of a press meeting and say, hey, I know they're murdering journalists over there, but we've got a chance at leverage here. He literally said that. That's going to torpedo your legacy probably forever, and we won't get a chance to hear Phil, who could have been the best ever in the booth. But I think Rahm, when his time comes, will do a great job.
Yeah, I agree. He looked pretty natural, sounded natural in the booth at the RBC, so probably will do a good job. The Oakland A's are 5-18 with a negative 102 run differential, the worst in baseball history at this point.
That's correct.
A perfect Oakland send-off. Take it or leave it.
You know, I've seen this on Twitter, so it's not my exact take, but it's true, and I'll pass it on. Like, the A's are actually living out the plot of Major League. An owner who doesn't want his team to do well, wants awful attendance so that he can move the team somewhere else. It was a woman in her case of Major League. And I don't know if they have it around. Yeah, I don't know if they have a cardboard cutout, with ripping off articles of clothing in the clubhouse. But it's just really sad and should not be the way that baseball teams or pro sports operates. And they intentionally put the worst product. The Cubs played the A's last week. There was no one there, and the Cubs absolutely obliterated them for 3 games because they have no major league talent by design, which creates no attendance, which allows them to say, hey, look, I'm just leaving because nobody's coming. Yeah, because you don't spend any money on anyone ever. Finally, the Pirates paid somebody today for the first time in their franchise's history. Ryan Reynolds got a nice deal. The A's don't do anything of the sort, and it's just an embarrassing way to run a franchise and get rewarded for it on the back end. Just sucks.
Yeah, I guess it seems like they're just purposefully, or they have been purposefully for the last years doing this because Oakland won't help them build a new park. So
So you should build your own park.
Yeah.
And if you can't, then you shouldn't own the team.
Right. All right, Jury Duty, the show. Take it or leave it.
I will take it. For those unfamiliar with the show Jury Duty, it's on Amazon Prime, and the plot is pretty simple. It is a jury duty situation where the citizens have to report for jury duty, and there's a crime and a court case that goes on for 3 weeks. And every single person involved, from the judge to the jurors to the prosecuting attorney to the defendant to everyone involved, the bailiff, everyone but one guy is an actor. The whole thing's made up except one guy doesn't know. And it is really funny. I've been watching it for the last couple of days. It is the situations they put him in and his reactions. It's just one guy, and he's now like making the rounds on media, and I think he got I think he got some money for it as well. But I haven't seen the reveal at the end when they tell him it's fake because I haven't gotten all the way through. But the content is really funny, so I would check out Jury Duty. I would advise it very strongly.
All right, last one here. All 3 home teams close their series tonight in the NBA. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Boston's up 3-1. They got the Hawks tonight. The Nuggets are up 3-1. They got the Timberwolves, and the Suns are up 3-1. They've got the Clippers. I think all 3 will win on their home floor, close out those series in 5 games, and move right along. The NBA playoffs not known for its upsets. We'll see what can happen with Miami and handling their business against the Bucks. But I'll take the home teams to win these tonight, so I will take that. That'll do it here for Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We opened up the show talking LSU and Nichols for tonight. Are the Saints good in the draft? Well, the Times-Picayune went deep into it and compared them to the rest of the league over the last 10 years. I talked about that at 1:15. Glenn West of Go247 with us at 1:30. Then a little NBA playoffs talks. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets and what it means in the NFC. That was at 2 o'clock. Best college football players of all time ranked by 247. Gave my thoughts on that. And then Sharif Ishak, good enough to join us with WDSU. All right, Jimmy Ott's Game Time tonight, 6 to 8. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. Hope to see you tonight at Pluckers, 8:30 on the Nicholson location. If not, I'll see you right here, same time, same place on Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes.